Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Soul Frequency event. Today, I have a really special guest, Maureen Saint Germain. She is an internationally renowned ascension teacher, mystic, and author with over 25 years of experience in sacred traditions. She's known as the practical mystic, and she merges ancient wisdom with modern tools to support spiritual awakening and multidimensional mastery. She's the founder of the Saint Germain Mystery School and Akashic Records International, and Maureen has taught in over 24 countries and led sacred journeys to Egypt, Scotland, France, and beyond. And her annual Ascension Institute is a premier program for soul evolution and higher self embodiment. Maureen is the author of 7 books, including bestsellers Waking Up in 5D and Beyond the Flower of Life. And her latest, Living Your Best 5D Life, completes her acclaimed 5D trilogy. She is the creator of the Illuminate app, featuring over 40 channeled meditations written and scored by Maureen herself, which is available on the iTunes Store, Google Play, and the app offers powerful tools for healing, activation, and spiritual expansion, which is a direct channel to source. And Maureen also offers Akashic Records training through a certified lineage of guides with compassion, clarity, and humor. She helps others access their inner guidance, awaken their gifts, and live a divinely guided life. Maureen, welcome.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure.
It's so good to have you. And today we're talking about something really revolutionary and something that maybe people may feel to be true, but haven't had a visual representation of that. We're actually going to be talking about chakras and how you see them and you've discovered that they're not actually a line, they're actually a spiral. So just lead us into that concept and that conversation.
Excellent. I'm happy to do that. So, what I want people to understand is the chakras have traditionally been activated either from the bottom up or from the top down. And that's a very male oriented way because it's in a straight line. And I could never do that. I bought books on the chakras. I tried to study it and I could never settle into it. And so I kind of just set it aside, put it on the back burner, maybe later, maybe I'm not ready. And then one day I came across a picture, and I will show that picture in a little bit. And the picture was created by a mystic named Gitchell in the 1700s. And he was a lawyer who was so spiritual that he ended up abandoning his work as a solicitor and began teaching spiritual subjects, but he never explained his pictures. He deliberately felt they were so important and so powerful that he didn't want to just have that knowledge out there. And when I saw this picture, I knew instantly what he was doing. No one else seems to know. No, people who have replicated the picture in books have never explained it or offered any insight other than what I've just told you. And when I saw it, I knew exactly what it was and what it was doing. And so it'd be my great pleasure to talk about that whenever we start that presentation.
Sure. And just tell us, like, because you also mentioned that from people knowing this knowledge, it's really changed the way that they interact with their own chakra system as well. Like you even mentioned in the beginning, you were kind of, you wanted to relate to chakras, but it just didn't resonate with you. And now it's opened up a whole new way of interaction.
Yes, it's my experience with the people that have learned this meditation that they've actually been able to feel the cosmos because they're allowing the chakras to move in a spiral way. What the download that I received from my guides when I saw the picture was that the chakras are supposed to move around and connect with each other. So the higher chakras merge with the lower chakras and keep going. And what happens is, just for an example, When we talk about the solar plexus, that's the seat of emotion, and that's where we have all of our joyous emotions and also all of our painful emotions. Well, if you start with the heart, and that was the other thing I was told by my guides, more than 25 years ago, that the lowest chakra would be the heart. And at the time, I thought, and this is as humans, we come up with our own conclusions. At the time, I thought, oh, that must mean the lower chakras atrophy. But that's not what happens. What happens is the heart is the seat of unconditional love. And when you add love to the solar plexus by moving from the heart to the solar plexus, you actually imbuing the solar plexus with unconditional love. And that makes for courage instead of fear. So now you have courage. And then you take that courage and you put it into the throat chakra. And you end up at your power center in the throat chakra. It elevates your capacity to speak your truth. And then after you get them all lined up in a spiral, then you're going to create something new, which I will share when I show the pictures, because it is astounding what we are doing. And I was shown that the chakras were never meant to be locked in the body, but they were locked in the body because there were beings who were on the earth, but not human, who were misusing our chakras and causing problems for humans. And so they became tucked into the body in order to protect us and to protect our tools. It's kind of like we know, for example, in the Islam tradition, women cover their hair, and it's meant to protect them from unsolicited attraction, unsolicited movement from a man towards them inappropriately. And that's one of the primary purposes. So in a way, that's what happened with our chakras. It was a way to protect us and to keep our chakras safe. But today, we're in a much better place and we are moving into our fifth dimensional expression, and we are able to take that connection that we have with our chakras and use it in a different way. And I want to explain one other thing about the chakras, and that is they are receivers. They are like the radio station that picks up a signal. And that's why when you walk in a room, you can feel certain things. Or when you come near someone you haven't met, you have a little bit of a feeling of who they are or what they are. And it's not just visual. It's not just looking at how they dress or wear their hair. It's an energetic signature that they're sending out, and you plug into it with your chakras. And your chakras are like nightshade. If you've seen the nightshade plants, how they open up and they're like a bell shape. And that's what our chakras look like. And so they're in that receiving zone. And all of the chakras are receiving except for the spleen. And the spleen, which is underneath the breast, is both a receiver and a broadcaster. So what this does is allows our chakras to receive much more information than we would normally be able to with them tucked into our bodies. So if you have an antenna for your walkie-talkie or your CB radio, Citizens Band radio, if you have an antenna for it, you can talk to somebody all over the world. But if you don't have that antenna, then that's not possible. So part of what we want to begin to understand is the chakras can allow us to receive more information from our surroundings and from the earth. And a lot of people don't realize that we have added a chakra underneath our feet, and it's called the Earth Star chakra. And that chakra specifically connects us to Mother Earth. So what does that mean for us? It means that we're more sensitive to what we're doing to the earth. We're more sensitive to what we're doing to the animals on the earth, because we can feel their feelings. Initially, we might not know why, for example, we object to the mistreatment of animals or to seeing an injured animal. And yet, we are more sensitive to that today than we were 100 years ago. And that's because of the Earth Star chakra being brought on board.
Wow. Well, why don't we just start the presentation so we can really look at the pictures and learn more. So I'm just going to pin you so we can all have a good look.
Very good. Thank you so much for doing that. Now, I left my PowerPoint in that one picture that I wanted to show you. So now I'm going to move it to my start position. Okay, so let me share. Okay, here we go. So this is part of the fifth dimensional teachings that I have brought forward. This information is in the book Mastering Your 5D Life. And the actual meditation can be found in the app Illuminate. In our case, we're actually going to give it to you for free, so you don't have to get the app if you don't want to. But the app does have 7 guided meditations that are included. And then if you want the full version, which has over 40 meditations, then it's a subscription. So here we go. So what I discovered was an ancient secret to understand the chakras through the spiral chakra meditation. And I call it a divine feminine activation because I want you to think about when we use straight lines, whether it's a stick or a ruler, you find that things move in a certain way. And most chakra meditations start at the base and move up, or start at the crown and move down. So first, I want you to understand a little more about spirals and why they're so important. So for centuries, many spiritual traditions encouraged the activation of these power centers in what I call a masculine way, robbing us of the true heritage of our chakra power. When you explore this and discover it, you will find that you're using sacred geometry in a spiral, and that's so important. So most straight lines are man-made. Most curved lines are nature-made. So think about that. When we build buildings, they're usually straight. And when we look at nature, we see many, many curves. This is one exception, the Great Mosque of Samarra. And this is a World Heritage Site now. Now, this is a form of awareness. And the spiral that we're working with is the golden mean or the golden spiral. And the reason I'm showing this picture of a person's hand is that I want you to understand that when you look at a tool, this is called a calipers, this tool allows you to see the relationship between one length of the body and another. So, for example, when I show this calipers to people, and the picture has a much larger one, what I'm trying to do is show you this relationship. And this relationship is important because although most of us learned about the irrational number known as pi and its relationship to a circle, we learned this in grade school. Phi, Phi, is another irrational number. And what that means is that it doesn't stand alone. It requires the division of 2 numbers to produce the outcome. And that's why irrational numbers always go on and on forever. They never resolve. So if you think of a fraction like 1/2, that resolves. 1/4 resolves. 1/3, even though that's called rational, it doesn't resolve. And so we begin to understand the difference. So if I say to you, can you tell me what 1/3 is to 10 decimal places? The answer is, of course you can, because you know it's 0.333 all the way out. Okay, so how does that affect what we're doing? What is the thing that stands out is that a relationship is feminine. It is the expression of the divine with a new piece of information. So as we look at a circle, and I love the circle behind you, Aiswara, and you think about everything inside the main circle is you, and everything outside the main circle is you. That's where we start. But we separate from that which is inseparable. We separate from source to have experiences, to expand the database. So then we create that boundary, that circle, or that sphere, and we start to create something new and different inside than outside. And what that does is create more information, more experience. So as we look at this, we can start to understand that it is this relationship that exists. And this relationship is called the golden mean, or phi. And it's important that you understand this, or at least experience it, because once you begin to realize that all of life is expanding in the form of a curve, you can begin to see the Fibonacci spiral, and that is a similar spiral to the golden mean, like we found in this cauliflower. And then there's a fundamental principle of rotation that causes the spiral to unwind and to produce and replicate this shape and this relationship. So the Dakota Indians say their year is a circle around the world. The human DNA is spiraled, and this spiral is in a phi ratio. So if you measure, I don't know if you can see this, there's a short distance and then there's a long distance. And the short distance and the long distance are in phi. And that relationship of phi is 1.618. Now, it's not important that you know this, but as you look at it from this picture, you can begin to see that this relationship here is the same as the relationship that's found in the DNA spiral. What's important to understand is DNA is measured in angstroms, and 1 angstrom is 1/10 billionth of a meter. This is not something you and I can see with our eyes, and yet Mother Nature has shown us this formula. And the reason it's important is because I believe phi is source code for creation. It turns out blood also operates using the same concept. And many people believe that the blood is part of the delivery system of the divine to us and to our cells and to our body. So DNA has the ability to represent sacred geometry. It carries bioacoustical representation, the electromagnetic transmission, and the method for cellular regulation. In the Indian mythology, they used many examples of the spiral moving around. This is how they saw life energy. And when we look at the chakras, we're going to see a similar emphasis on the spiral. So the chakras themselves unfold and transmute energy into progressively finer operations. This allows you to fuse your own creative energy with inactive, pure consciousness. This means that we take chi and we imbue it with an energy. When we harmonize our natural energies with the reality around us, you are able to transmit energies and assist others and yourself, which allows you to be in a place of balance and receptivity. So this is the golden ratio, and this is source code for creation. Now, when we talk about the golden rectangle or the spiral, this is actually found on the pavement outside of the Dali Museum because he was taken with the value of the spiral and he often used it in his art. So now we're going to narrow it down to just the chakras and talk about the traditional order of chakras. The traditional order, is the crown, third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, sacral, and root. And they represent spirituality, awareness, communication, love, healing, wisdom and power, sexuality and creativity, and trust. Why did I get to start with the heart? And the answer is my guides told me this. I did not understand at the time. I then connected with another mystic many years later. Her name is Thunderbeat. And she was told by her guide, White Eagle, we start with the heart. And the amazing thing about Thunderbeat is she is a mystic and a musician. And she was one of the rare female rock musicians who played drums. And as she moved into her spiritual work, she created a chakra meditation. Then she was more aware of certain things and created another chakra meditation. So when her guide, White Eagle, came to her and said, make a chakra meditation, she said, no, I already have two. I don't need a third one. And he said, we start with the heart. So now here's the second person that I've encountered, myself and her, that we're told start with the heart. Again, it's reinforcement. I understood it. I knew the universe was showing this to me. And she created a meditation where she started with the heart. The heart is the place where we circulate the blood, and it is your link between heaven and earth. Now, this is the picture that I saw that woke me up to what is really happening. And I want you to look at this closely because this is super important. Here we are at the heart, and they are starting here and going around to the solar plexus and then back up to the throat. But you'll notice there's a running dog here, and the running dog is going up. So we know that even though they're spiraling down, it's not to spiral down indefinitely, it's to spiral around. And again, this is an emphasis upon the idea that when you create the spiral, you create an entirely different kind of experience. And then from the heart, then we go down, in this case, the spleen. And the reason we use the spleen instead of the sacral chakra is because the ancients believed that activating the sexual chakra was dangerous. And so we use the spleen in this activation. And the spleen is both a sender and receiver, if you recall. It's part of the 5 secret ray chakras, which we aren't talking about today, but there is information about that on the app. From there, we go to the third eye and then down to the base chakra, up to the crown, and then I take you to the lower chakras, which we're talking about. So we combined the right turn after we've made this spiral, and we go around the body. So this is what it might look like. You're starting at the heart and you're moving in this spiral. You can start to see that spiral is growing bigger and bigger, like the golden mean chakra. We also then go to the higher chakras, but we do something very special with them. How are we going to make the heart the bottom chakra? How are we going to do that? And here's how. We're actually going to allow the chakras to rotate by tilting them. So if you're thinking of your crown chakra and your base chakra, you're going to have your crown chakra move behind you and your base chakra move in front of you. And so now they're rotating around you like a planet. So these chakras then start to circulate around you, giving you access to a much greater field than you can otherwise. This is how it might look. If you look at it from the top down, this is what it would look like. Some of the chakras don't move. The Earth Star chakra keeps its position, and the eighth chakra, the chakra above your head, which is where your higher self access point exists, those two stay in place. So you create a system that looks like this. So it's stabilized below your feet and above your head, and the entire system will lock into place. And the heart is the lowest chakra because they're all rotating around you like a orbit, a solar system. And what if you are a solar system? Now, the higher chakras, you're going to access them when you bring your awareness into them, and you're going to allow that spiral to exist like a coil. And we're going to call out what these higher chakras do to help activate them. So you're actually going to get some instruction on what each of these higher chakras do, the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and so on. But they'll stay in this spiral kind of environment while your lower chakras are spinning around you. You will program your spiral chakra meditation when you're ready. This is a meditation you're going to do until you feel comfortable. You do it and practice it. And then a program that you might choose to program is I program my Merkaba or my spiral chakra to alert me to spiral out and back as appropriate. Because when we spiral out, because we don't know the environment around us when we leave our homes, I am asking people to tuck them back in. You can have them spiral around your body, but not to have them out in front of you and behind of you when you're out and about in public until you have total control of this meditation. And the reason is because we are activating something that has not been activated for millennia. So, a little reminder, the eighth chakra is the portal to your higher self. So, we are now ready to do the actual meditation. And I thank you for having me as your guest. And if you have any questions, now would be a good time to ask.
Thank you so much, Maureen. The first thing that came to me during that is actually just about how we see life as, obviously we're programmed to see life as linear, but when you were speaking, it was like, actually, no, it's like an opening. We're just unraveling. That was just what came to me when I was watching this beautiful presentation. And it's something I think people might have to come back to a few times just to really integrate. And of course, you have the meditation that we're going to do by Maureen that you also have access to. And before we get to that meditation, I just want to remind everyone that Maureen does have her free gift, which is the book Reweaving the Fabric of Your Reality. So could you just and you get that for free. Could you just quickly tell us a little bit about what that book is about?
Sure. You're going to get a digital copy. You're not going to get a paper copy. So it's easy to download and read right away. This book is all about why people act strange or why people suddenly behave differently than they've been behaving. And it's because people can pick up other energies. At one time, we allowed what I will call cohabitation. But today, it's against the cosmic laws for more than one soul to occupy a body. This means if you have energies in you or entities in you, it's your responsibility to kick them out. And it's no different than if you went on vacation and your best friend moves into your apartment and then you come home from vacation and you say, "What are you doing here?" And she says, "Well, I know where you kept your spare key and I had a fight with my partner. And so I needed a place to stay." And you're going to say, "Great. I'm glad that's worked out for you, but you can't stay here." Okay. So we might pick up energies and entities. Sometimes they're people who have passed away who don't know they're dead, or they're afraid to go to the light and they don't understand that they're actually going to be better off in that environment than they would be in your body. And so they're trying to hang out with you. And that's when people start acting strangely. So you might have a family member that used to be very mellow, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, they start acting impatient and angry at the slightest provocation. And you think to yourself, what happened to them? Why are they this way? They weren't like this before. And that's a key for you to recognize. And the idea is many of these energies will keep you from accessing your higher power and your higher connection because they don't want you to have that capacity, because then you might figure it out on your own. Oh, there's something here that doesn't belong. I need to kick it out. So the idea is to begin to understand the four different kinds of entities, why they're here, what they're doing, not to look at this as something fearful, but to look at it more like the kids came in with muddy boots. We got to clean the boots before they get too far into the house, and we got to make sure they take them off. And it's a little bit like that. We're looking at this and helping the energies that don't belong to leave. If they're lost souls, we're helping them find their way back home. And there's also a section on what I call family entities, which means that sometimes in a family, a person will pick up a chunk of their family members. Let's say you have an older brother and mom is, fussing. "Well, it's time to go. You guys have to go." And you're still trying to tie your shoes, but you're new at it. And so your brother says, "I'll show you one last time." And boom, you make a trade. You give it a chunk of yourself, and he trades a chunk of himself. And one of the ways to notice that is to notice if you have a behavior that you just can't seem to get your arms around, but it reminds you of a family member or early caregiver. So these chunks, these little trades occur, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's simply time to bring them back. So it's a very powerful book full of lots of really amazing information.
Amazing. That sounds so interesting and needed. So we'll put that link down below where you can go and get that book for free and also be part of Maureen's community as well, if what we've spoken about today resonates with you. Thank you so much, Maureen, for being here with us today and sharing this really important knowledge with us.
Thank you. And thank you for including me. And good fortune to every one of you who are with us. Thank you.